In the early 1960s, Ford was facing a critical crossroads. The world of racing was changing, performance was everything, and muscle cars ruled the streets. But Ford didn't have the answer. Their V8 South were good, but they were no match for the powerhouse engines coming from Chrysler and Chevrolet. Ford was behind. That's when the engineers at Ford, led by a man named Roy Lunn, started dreaming big. They needed an engine that would not just compete, but dominate. They came up with the Ford 427 FE, a big block V8, designed for one thing: power. It wasn't the first, but it was something special. Ford had already built the 332 and 352 FA engines, but these were just the start. The 427 was the game changer. By 1963, the 427 FA debuted in the famous Ford Cobra, a car that would change American sports car history forever. This engine was a beast. At first glance it looked like any other big V8, but it was the combination of bore and stroke, overhead valve design, and an engine block forged with racing in mind that gave it the edge. 385 horsepower and 480 pounds-ft of torque at 5,800 RPM was just the beginning. Ford engineers went further. With the right tweaks, the FE could go well beyond 500 horsepower, making it a monster on the racetrack. But it wasn't just about power. The 427 FE's engineering was its true innovation. Ford didn't just throw a huge engine into a car. They built the 427 for longevity. It wasn't just designed for racing, it was built to last, run in extreme conditions, and do it for years. A reliable monster. The Cobra 427 wasn't just a car, it was a racing legend. With its 427 FI engine, it was one of the fastest cars of its time, dominating at Le Mans, Sebring, and even NASCAR. But the Ford 427 didn't just thrive on the racetrack. The power, combined with its muscle car styling, made it a beast on the streets. Soon, car enthusiasts across the country were talking about the 427 FE, and it wasn't just the Cobra that benefited. The engine was put into the Ford Galaxie, Thunderbird, and even the Ford Mustang, making each of those cars a powerhouse in their own right. But there was a secret behind the 427 FE's success. It was all about the torque. Power was impressive, but the torque, the force that pushed the car forward from a dead stop, was what gave the 427 its heart. Unlike its competitors, who relied heavily on high-revving engines, the 427 FE's low-end torque gave it instant acceleration, perfect for drag races and highway pulls. The car's light chassis and wide tires gave the engine traction like no other. In 1966, Ford put the 427 FE to the test. The car took on the Chevrolet Corvette, Chrysler's Hemi, and the Shelby Cobra 427. And while the other cars were flashy, with their high-revving engines and amazing top speeds, the 427 FE kept surprising everyone. Its strength was in its low-end power and reliability. But Ford didn't just stop there. They continually improved the 427 FE throughout the 60s, even adding special modifications for racing. In NASCAR, the engine was paired with Holman Moody to create a unique powerhouse that dominated the circuit. It was the era of Ford versus Ferrari, and the 427 was the heart of Ford's assault on racing glory. Racing teams loved the 427 FA for its durability and torque. They didn't have to worry about breaking it down after every race. While other engines would blow out, the 427 FE engine would keep on running, even with minimal maintenance. Ford also made the engine available to enthusiasts. Performance parts, like aluminum intakes, headers, and camshaft upgrades, made the 427 FE the perfect option for weekend racers and street enthusiasts alike. With the right tweaks, the 427 FE engine could easily make over 600 horsepower. But as the 1970s arrived, the automotive world began to change. Emissions laws became stricter, and the big block engines that ruled the streets for years began to face the heat. Ford's 427 FE was no exception. The engine was phased out, and smaller, more fuel-efficient engines took its place. But the 427 FE was never forgotten. The legacy of the Ford 427 FE lives on. It's an engine that defined an era of American muscle. It was the backbone of the Cobra, the heart of the Mustang, and the soul of Ford's racing legacy. And though it's no longer in production, its spirit lives on in the Ford GT Shelby Mustang, and modern muscle cars that owe their power and torque to the innovation of the 427 FA. Today, the 427 FE is a collector's dream, sought after by racing enthusiasts and muscle car fans. Classic car auctions see prices skyrocket for original 427 FE cars. And people continue to modify these engines, pushing them into the modern performance scene. The 427 FE may not be the king of the racetrack anymore, but its legacy remains. It was never just an engine. It was a revolution. The 427 FE wasn't just a high-performance engine. It was the engine that defined American muscle. With power, torque, and reliability, the 427 FA still inspires the cars of today. A true legend.